Hi everyone, back with another video. Going to try a 5-minute stock analysis on Axon Enterprise. Really interesting company and really interesting story. Formerly known as TASER International, so I'll give you a clue on what they do if you don't already know. Fantastic returns over the last 20 years, one of the best stocks to own in the 21st century. I'm going to go through some recent numbers, the mission statements and prospects, then have a look at the price. But first, what they do. So just like to remind anyone, if you're enjoying the videos, please subscribe and help the channel grow. Thanks. So as I mentioned, Axon was originally called TASER International. They made and marketed tasers, the stun gun used by police departments and law enforcement all over the world as a replacement for guns. It's basically a hardware company, not a super attractive investment. Then in around 2010, they decided to transition to Axon 2.0, basically becoming a more modern company, transitioning to software with evidence.com, which is kind of repository database with a search engine for all evidence for use by law departments, so things like video, and using body cameras. So this was the first real expansion to new markets, demonstrating their optionality. And the future of Axon in the short term is Axon 3.0, so 2020 and beyond. They're going to keep on with the body cameras and evidence.com, which seems to be the future of law enforcement, improves accountability and things like that. But now it's improving police officers' workflow, crucially allowing them to spend less time doing paperwork, being in court, etc., and more times on the street and community. So Axon Dispatch is a kind of mapping software that spots where they can map where police officers are in relation to crimes. And Axon Records is designed to improve time spent doing paperwork, essentially. They want to try and use AI and advanced technology to improve workflow and reduce the amount of time police officers spend doing paperwork, which I think is tremendous. Axon is an extremely mission-driven company that started with the goal of making the bullet obsolete. Tasers are now commonly used in place of firearms. They're not completely replacement by any means, but they continue to persevere with this goal. They believe that 258,000 lives have been saved from death or serious injury. This is obviously very attractive from a lawmaker's perspective. The second goal and the next stage of Axon's growth was to reduce social conflict, and it's still obviously working on this. They believe that the use of body cams has brought complaints down by 88% and the use of force down by 58%, which is absolutely fantastic, and keeps the police accountable while also improving safety. And in the future, they hope to be part of a wider overhaul of the justice system. I think it's clear that the Axon management are very passionate about this, and they're really management that you can get behind in this goal. One of the questions long held against Axon was, what is its TAM and how can it grow it? Axon management has long spoke of its desire to move into consumer markets, which could obviously greatly increase the current market opportunity. They've started showing this in their external communications and their investor relations, showing that consumer is 35% of the total addressable market. That's more than law enforcement total, which is tremendous. This is obviously still very early on, and they're barely monetizing this yet. They've got real plans over the next 10 years or so. There's basically no competition, so Axon's currently under FTC regulation and investigation because of potential monopoly concerns. This doesn't concern me very much. I don't think anything will be done over it. And I also believe that businesses that are close to monopolies are absolutely fantastic to own. Google, Amazon, Microsoft. There's been many over the recent years that have been tremendous holds, basically because they have no competition. And Axon very much falls into this category. Axon leadership has really generated a powerful financial profile. 40% of revenue is now recurring revenue, which is fantastic from software. Margins of software are very attractive, so the company margins are expanding over time. Net dollar retention rate is around 119%, which, when you consider that these are mostly government contracts, not easy to keep and not easy to land, and especially not easy to grow, this is absolutely tremendous. I think this really shows the value case. Axon's revenue is up 26% on a compound annual growth rate over the last 4 years. And this is a company that is really starting to fire on all cylinders, increasing its margins by increasing software. This is really great to see, and it just shows how powerful its optionality is. So as I've mentioned, margins are expanding, market opportunity is expanding, and the revenue is up 26% on a compound annual growth rate over the last 4 years. You can see why this is such a terrific business and has been so attractive to own. It's been up around 500% over the last 5 years, and now just shy of $11 billion business, right in the middle of its 52-week range. So looking at some basic valuation metrics, PE is almost unimportant for me. They're pushing for growth and investing quite heavily, but working on Axon 3.0. The 84 PE is by no means cheap. and the price sales of 12 again is by no means cheap. It's not unreasonable when compared with companies growing at a similar rate, but this is no ordinary company. It's got a near monopoly, a very strong moat due to the high switching costs and its strong pipeline, which I think is $2 billion right now. Not cheap by conventional means for sure, but it has an expanding gross margin, reliable software revenue, expanding sales, growing 26% year over year. I think this is an excellent company with an excellent growth runway. The market's only expanding, and I'll be continuing to add to my position while the shares remain at this price.